Eric is here. He did run for public advocate. Hopefully he's going to run for mayor. He's been a great Queens councilman for a long time. He's a very good friend of ours and one of the brightest minds here in New York City, here to talk about this budget, which hits today. Our good buddy Eric Ulrich. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Well, great. Listen, one of the things that you railed about during those public advocate debates, and Bernie and I both agree with you, was this congestion pricing deal, which Bloomberg introduced about a decade ago, which is in cities like London and Singapore, and they claim success. Bernie and I feel like it's just piling on. It's way too expensive to travel to the city to begin with, and you felt the same way. Tell everybody what you were saying during those debates.
The congestion pricing plan that Albany just passed is nothing more than a commuter tax on the outer boroughs. People in Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and the Bronx are going to be shouldering the burden for decades of incompetence and mismanagement in the MTA. Any small business owner or middle-class person who goes into the city now will be forced to pay thousands of dollars a year just to go about their business. It really is a disgrace.
And truckers, of course, as you mentioned, small business, truckers, they're going to get hit the hardest. And they're only going to pass on the cost to the consumer. So the consumers in New York City are going to be paying more. You know, Eric Ulrich, this Nicole Maliotakis, she's a New York State Assemblywoman. She really put out a couple of great tweets. One of them, New York State budget winners, criminals, illegal immigrants, and U-Haul. And she talks about how this budget bill, which they incorporate policy into what should just be a budget bill, it protects illegal immigrants who commit crimes from deportation, protects drug felons from losing driver's license, ends cash bail without considering persons' threat to public safety, and free college for illegal immigrants. What's there to disagree with Nicole Maliotakis about?
It really is disgusting. I think Nicole hit it right on the head. The way Albany goes about their business, zero transparency, no public accountability, no debate, or virtually no debate. They ram everything into the budget, and they vote on it literally in the middle of the night while most New Yorkers are sound asleep because guess what? We got to wake up early and go to work the next day. This is how the politicians in Albany do business. That's why New York is one of the most dysfunctional states in America. It really is disgusting.
Let's talk about the paper bag fees. He wants to get rid of plastic bags. The cut we played had Cuomo talking about plastic bags floating all over the ocean. Don't need them. They claim it's an environmental thing. Of course, they're going to start charging up to 3 cents per paper bag. What are your thoughts on the plastic bag tax?
Well, the paper bag thing is really puzzling because paper is recyclable. You could put paper out with your cardboard. You go to Trader Joe's, you go somewhere and you get a paper bag from the grocery store, and you can actually recycle that. So I don't know what the theory is behind that. The plastic bag ban, I understand. I sympathize with. I'm all for improving the environment. I don't think anybody that listens to your show is against the environment or wants to pollute our waterways or have dirty air to breathe. But at the same time, you got to think about this, Sid and Bernie. We've got so many problems in this state right now with transportation, with crime, with public housing, with all of the corruption, the public corruption that's going on, that you would think that the number one priority in Albany would be any one of those things except banning plastic bags. That this somehow became the centerpiece of the New York State budget, that this was somehow the most important issue facing New Yorkers, that people are running out their doors today and they're saying, God, I really hope Albany banned plastic bags last night. Give me a break.
It's unbelievable, City Councilman Eric Ulrich. This no cash bail for misdemeanors. Now, you recall just a week or two ago, the New York Post had the Dirty Dozen, these subway perverts who commit, they rub up against women, they expose themselves, and all those things are misdemeanors. So this no cash bail for misdemeanors means that all these guys who get arrested on those charges will be released with no bail whatsoever. They're just going to be freed to repeat the same assault against women, essentially, and they don't care. They're not addressing that issue. They're actually making it easier for these guys to be out and becoming the recidivists that they are.
You know, turnstile jumping, public urination, masturbating on the subway, marijuana exposed in front of people in the public. I mean, I don't know what's going to be next with some of these people, but the point is this: the governor and the mayor, soft on crime. They are not tough on crime. They're more concerned about letting people out of jail than putting people in jail. It makes no sense whatsoever. We have to protect the public, and people in the state and the city have a right to live in a safe community, have a right to go on the subway and not to be harassed. okay, in any way whatsoever. But the point is that the governor and the mayor, they're pandering to the left. They're both delusional. They both think they're going to be president. I don't know who's more, delusional, de Blasio or Cuomo, but they're both auditioning for vice president or president, and meanwhile, they've got a very important job to do here in New York.
Although Cuomo did already start to talk about running for a fourth term for governor. He did do that this weekend, so he may be coming off the presidential thing in an effort to win the gubernatorial again. How about this one, Eric? New York taxpayers will be on the hook for $100 million a year to fund state political campaigns under a plan in this budget deal. What's that all about?
Financing of campaigns has worked relatively well in New York City. I mean, I benefited from it. It allows ordinary people to run for political office and not only the billionaire types. But at the same time, if you look at the dysfunction in Albany and the lack of transparency and just the unethical way they go about their business, you really want to start funding some of their campaigns. By the way, what we really need in Albany, more than public financing of campaigns, is term limits. The one thing we have in the city that works well, I think, is that we have term limits. Every 8 years, you get somebody new. In Albany, like you said, the governor's thinking about running for a fourth term. This guy's the worst. And without term limits, you may not be able to get rid of this guy. And then you've got all these state senators and assembly people that have been up there since Jimmy Carter was in the Oval Office. Give me a break. These people got to go. They're a bunch of hacks and career politicians. They do nothing. And they're just driving up the cost of living in the state. What we need more than public financing and matching funds is term limits in Albany. You know what term limits will do to Albany? Term limits will do to Albany what a Roto-Rooter does to a clogged toilet.
Get them out. Flush them down the toilet there, Edith. Hey, listen, finally, Eric Ulrich, from what I understand with this new budget bill, the Holland and the Lincoln Tunnel users, they're going to be exempt because they already pay a toll coming into the city, but not so much with the George Washington Bridge. And I don't know about the Queens Midtown Tunnel or the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. Do you? If they're going to be charged a toll plus the $11-12 just to come into Manhattan?
Honestly, I don't know, because like you, I was asleep when they voted on this. Probably 3 or 4 in the morning. It's a joke. I mean, it's like a bad surprise. You know, you wake up and you just don't know how they're going to nickel and dime us next.
Hey, 60 seconds. One local story for you. One of the neighborhoods that you look over as a councilman is Howard Beach. All of our good buddies there, Anthony and Charlie, of course, Aldo's Pizzeria. Today, they're supposed to close argument in this Chanel Lewis trial. He's the kid that has been accused of killing Karina Vetrano, the jogger. Although now there seems to be some issue about what the police did and didn't do in terms of profiling. We've already had one mistrial in this case. I've spoken to people in your community there, Eric, who don't think this kid did it. What do you think happens with that case?
You know, I want to reserve comment. I really don't want to comment on it. I knew Karina Vetrano. What happened to her was absolutely heinous, and the family is still grieving every single day. This is a nightmare that they're never going to be able to get rid of. It's every parent's worst nightmare, really. I want this process to work itself through, and I don't want anything to jeopardize the fact that somebody's being prosecuted right now. Somebody's been apprehended. They have DNA evidence that links him to the crime, and I'm hoping that the process will bring about justice for the family and for the community.
The man who should be mayor of New York City, I'd say governor of New York State, city councilman Eric Ulrich. Eric, listen, thank you very much once again for appearing on the Bernie and Sid Show.
Have a great week.
You too, Eric. Great job. 1-800-848-WABC. We're coming right back.